Yeah, it's NewsHouse Sports. We talking SU lacrosse. We got Jack Schlafly, Marcus, and by their side, Will Scott. I said his face off Tom, Danny, Varello on all them. No one scoring like him. You know I'm talking Nate Solomon. Bomberry with the celly, Damadano with the save, Donahue with the goal, and Taylor Gate. Oh wait, another block. Yeah, that's goal stock. Hope you ready for the show. You watch a goal line extended. Let's go.
Welcome to Goal Line Extended. I'm Jack Schlafly, joined alongside by Will Scott and Marcus Gronauer, and this is the first video production for NewsHouse. Very excited to get it started. Let's jump right into it. Marcus, you've been following the women's team a lot this season. They're 2-0 with wins over Oregon and UConn, but they're different from last year's team.
Yeah, they are, and last year this team really relied upon one player, and pretty much all season. That was Riley Donahue. She finished the year with 42 goals, and she led the team, but towards the end of last season, we saw opposing teams began to face guard her, and essentially she became ineffective, and so did the team. Syracuse went 15-7 last year and had its worst season in 8 years. But so far this year, it's been a lot different. This team has experience back. 4 of its top 6 goal scorers are back from last season. You also have 5 defensive starters back. So it's been a lot different so far this year, and we've even seen some freshmen step up in the first 2 games, like Sam Swart and Molly Carter, so it's been very interesting the first 2 games.
Well, as I mentioned, the team is 2-0. Tell us about that first win against UConn.
Well, it was an offensive explosion by the Orange. Syracuse won 23-11, and 12 different players scored for SU, including 4 finishing with a hat trick. And one thing I noticed from this game is that this team has depth. Like, they have so many players: Allie Jimerson, Nicole Levy, Donahue. I mean, the list goes on. You have Vanessa Constantino stepping up, and when you have that depth and you have that experience, it's a lot easier to get going. But let's step back for a moment, because Syracuse was only up 9-8 in the first half, and a big part of that was that Syracuse was struggling to get possession of draws. But once they started getting those draws in the second half, and they really caused like an uprising offensively for Syracuse. And they ended up destroying UConn. So
now in the second game, they didn't quite score 23 goals. Scored only 17, but they also only gave up 7. So tell me about how that happened.
Well, Syracuse pretty much replicated their offensive performance from the first game. I mean, they won 17-11 in this one at Oregon. But for the most part, Syracuse did a really good job on offense and even defense. Oregon, this is not a bad team. They did go 9-8 last season, but they returned all 4 starting attackers. So it's, speaking of experience, Syracuse has experience, but so does Oregon. But Syracuse defense did a really good job all game long of containing them. And actually, Oregon never led in the game. SU got out to an early 4-0 lead and never looked back. And the star in this one was Taylor Gate, the coach's daughter. She had a hat trick on the day. And again, we saw some freshmen step up again. Sam Swart had 2 goals, and so did Molly Carter, and that was huge for SU in this game, and I think it's also like a positive for the rest of the season. And I also want to add, Emily Harishuk told me after the first game that the most dangerous teams in college lacrosse are the ones that have the most offensive weapons. And, it's a lot easier to key in on one goal scorer, but this Syracuse team has 7 or 8 players that you can rely on, and they can all make plays. And it's really dangerous. It's hard to scout, and it's really hard to defend.
Traveling all the way out to Oregon for that win, 17-11, not 17-7. That's on me.
And it's great to see lacrosse starting to expand west a little bit. Syracuse going to Oregon for the first time. And it's always been, an East Coast sport, but now you're starting to see the sport grow and start to be played a lot more around the country.
Well, Marcus, turning this next game, Albany, we're going to talk about it a little bit later in the show. Men's side didn't go so well. The women looking to go well.
Yeah, Albany's actually 0-1 on the year so far. They lost to Yale in their opener 12-10. That was at Yale. But they also have a really good pretty much a freshman phenom who scored 2 goals in the last game. And her name is Kendra Harbinger. She's definitely someone you need to look out for come Thursday at 5 here in the Carrier Dome.
Will, let's move over to the guys' side. You were at the Albany game, and for lack of a better word, it was rough.
Yeah, let's take a look at the highlights here, Jack. We'll let you kind of take the reins on this one. Syracuse in action against number 3 Albany.
We're going to start off here. Jamie Trimboli got the Orange on the board first with that nice goal. Not many goals for the Orange today.
Syracuse struck first. I mean, in the beginning, it was looking like this was going to be a great game, and there was a lot of defense in that first quarter. Only 3 total goals scored in the first. Madonna did a great job, but Albany struck first right there, and they didn't look back after that goal.
Jake Patterson, as you said, with a nice goal for the Great Danes. And on this play right here, TD Erlin for Albany. The face-off win, he's going to go all the way down, score a pass. How important were face-offs in this game?
I mean, it was huge. You know, you saw in the first game, Varello did a great job winning 85% of the face-offs. Yesterday, he only went 5 of 21. And what we saw, especially from the Albany side, was the explosion of Tehoka Nanakoke, the #1 overall recruit last year out of high school, IMG Academy in Florida. And look at that goal, extending his body, putting it into the back of the net. And this was probably one of the greatest debuts I've ever seen in any sport by a player, scoring 5 goals in his collegiate debut. People are calling him the Michael Jordan of lacrosse. He could be that good, Jack.
I mean, that's a pretty ridiculous name to live up to, but we'll see if he can do it.
Nate Solomon scoring right there. It was looking like at that point SU might be back in the game. That made it a 7-2 game. But then Tehoka Nanakoke shut down any momentum the Orange got from that Nate Solomon goal, and they went on to win this one big. 15-3, the #1 high school recruit, like I mentioned earlier, 5 goals on 15 shots. Albany outshot Syracuse 50-23, Jack.
Will, tell me about your thoughts. Obviously, we just looked at the highlights. Pretty rough game. You know, what have you seen in the first few games compared to this? Obviously, Binghamton was a nice win.
Yeah, that's the crazy thing. You know, Binghamton was expected to be a big challenge for the Orange. You know, we're used to playing Siena in the first game, and that's just never been a contest against that team. And so Coach Desko is wanting to schedule a tougher first opponent in Binghamton, and they gave us a hard game last year. We only beat them 9-8. We come out in the first game and beat them 21-4. Had a lot of momentum going into the Albany game, moved from 11th to 7th in the standings. A lot of confidence from the team going into this game.
Sure.
This was Albany's season debut, and they just pounded us. This is the team that's supposed to be our little brother in the state of New York, and they beat us 15-3.
Do you think it had something to do with the fact that we played a team like Binghamton first? You know, this team that's obviously not quite the powerhouse that Albany is. We come in with that great first win, and then we play a team that's just obviously a lot more talented.
I think that we got a little bit overconfident after the Binghamton win. I think Binghamton wasn't as good as we expected them to be. We beat them 21-4. Varello won pretty much every single face-off in that one. And so I think we were just a little bit overconfident because we're so used to beating Albany. This was only the second time in program history that Syracuse lost to Albany. Only the second time. So I think that, you know, after the Binghamton win, we were a little bit overconfident going into this Albany game. Varello, you know, struggled on the face-offs, only winning 5 of those. So when you only win 5 face-offs in a game, you're not going to win.
Well, I can't imagine we'll be overconfident moving forward.
Yeah.
What do you think for the team, you know, moving on after this rough loss?
Coach Desko knows this is a wake-up call for the Orange. They are playing 6 straight ranked teams after this Albany game, and they start with #9 Army, who just beat #12 Rutgers. Army beat us last year, Jack. They're a really good team. They're always solid. So they come up to the Carrier Dome on Saturday, but we do not want to start 1-2 on the year.
No.
This is a Syracuse program that has been the face of college lacrosse for over a decade now. So this game is going to be a crucial game for the Orange. I know it's early in the season, but you never want to start out 1-2.
Well, that's going to wrap it up for our first edition of Goal Line Extended. For Marcus Gronauer and Will Scott, I'm Jack Schlafly. We'll see you next time.